back, lobs it back right corner. Decker! He's got it! Touchdown! Eric Decker scores, and the Jets have won it in overtime!
This is the Jet Take with Ben Blessington and Kyle Fahey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of the Jet Take. I'm your host for tonight, Kyle Fahey. And man, you're gone for a week, and you come back, and now you have a quarterback, a cornerback, and a bunch of other depth signings that we have to go over and absolutely mean nothing for the team in the future. But nonetheless, I am joined by Gangrene David. David, what's going on?
What is up, Kyle? Waffle House is not open for business tonight because I'm ready to bring some fire tonight. You know, it's been quite a week, and lots of some great signings and some shocking signings, i.e. Josh McCown. And I'm actually ready. What?
All right, I have two questions already. I know we're supposed to do the rundown right now. You keep going what you're saying, but we'll have to bring this up immediately.
I got you. But some great signings, some shocking signings, even a solid signing here and there. But, I'm ready to spit some fire at these signings, and I'm ready to make my predictions, see what they would do for the team. I am fired up. Let's get this show on the road.
Yeah, David, you need to bring some heat to make waffles, so I hope you're prepared. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, at thejettake. We love all your guys' support. We're nearing 800 followers. We're nearing the 1-year mark for the Jet Take. I can't believe that. It's almost been a year already. Sporadic Ben says hi for all those. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter, at KyleFeeNFL. You can follow my Jets Instagram, at NYJToday. You can follow David on Twitter, at GangreneDavid1, and then on Instagram, at GangreneDavid. Of course, you can like and subscribe to his YouTube account, at GangreneDavid. He always brings the heat on there. But let's start, and we're going to have our first caller of the night on in about 5 minutes, give or take, so bear with us. It's just going to be me and David talking for right now. Your opening monologue there, you threw me off. You said some great signings and some surprising signings. And I believe when you said great, I hope you were going for Morris Claiborne.
I
Correct
was.
me if I'm wrong. Okay, and then surprising signings, Josh McCown.
Yes.
Okay, what's surprising about the McCown signing? I thought this was expected, if anything.
Well, I mean, a lot of people were expecting someone like Jay Cutler or even possibly drafting a quarterback in the first round, but signing
we still very well could, and that's actually a topic for tonight, but so we won't go into it quite yet.
Well, yeah, that is to be discussed later on tonight. But, Josh McCown to me was kind of a shocking signing. I mean, due to history of fumbles and injuries he's had. And
But that's exactly what the Jets look for in a quarterback historically.
That's exactly. You're right. And honestly, I kind of feel like in a way we just signed Ryan Fitzpatrick 2.0 as he just continued to bounce around the league. And even
hey, don't insult Fitzpatrick like that. That's not nice.
Well, okay. Well, if you go back and watch the film for last season of Fitzpatrick, I think you'll actually get my point of view. But, Josh McCown, bringing him in here, I think, honestly, was probably the expected move at this point anyhow because, like you said, we aren't going to be good next year anyway. So, honestly, I would rather bring in a veteran for a 1-year, $6 million deal to continue to let Hackenberg and Petty step up, who are competing for the quarterback starting spot. And, hopefully Josh McCown doesn't continue to progress his injuries with fumbles and injuries or concussions.
No. We want him to do that. That way we can get the number 1 pick next year.
Okay, well, if we get the number 1 pick, then I'm just expecting Sam Darnold immediately out of the bat, or possibly.
Not necessarily.
Well, we'll see, but
could get Josh Allen.
Well, let's see how Josh McCown plays his 1 year with the Jets, and
no, we are not bringing him back.
Yes, thank freaking God. I hope not. We're not bringing him back. And, there might be some pluses to Josh McCown that we might not know about, but I can guarantee you he's not going to be worthy for another year next year with the Jets.
The only plus right now for Josh McCown is he's not Ryan Fitzpatrick, or at least his name isn't, and he's not Colin Kaepernick. So
that is the only plus.
Yeah. And maybe mentorship. Maybe. We don't know. We said the same thing about Fitzpatrick. But, You said Morris Claiborne signing was great. That was my other pet peeve. Not a great signing in my mind. I think it's a good signing. Not great. A great signing would be like Eric Berry. That would be a great signing. But obviously, the Chiefs got him back.
Well, I got where you're coming from, but the reason why I say it's a great signing because I think we got a developing corner I honestly think for quite a bargain. I mean, yes, I know he's had his injury concerns, but when Morris Claiborne is healthy, I think he's a great corner with lots of versatility, and he's got lots of skill on him. And honestly, I would love to see him in green and white, see how he could fill that number one role in Darrelle Reeves' spot. Although we are still we're still lacking in corners. I'm gonna give you that, but honestly, well,
we lack a number one corner.
Okay, we continue to lack a number one corner. Listen, we'll see how Claiborne progresses throughout the season at that number one spot. But
what makes you say he'll be number one?
Who would be number one in your mind?
Probably a guy we can get in round 2.
I'm going to stand by my take saying drafting a corner in round 2, I would probably consider him a number 2.
Oh, I don't know about that. There could be like 10 guys that are first round worthy in this draft. But anyway, David, we've annoyed a bunch of people already with our takes. So we're going to bring out our first caller of the night, and that happens to be the one host or the main host of the AFC Bros, another Kyle. I'm glad that he shares my name because he's got some great takes. Kyle, what's going on, my man?
Hey, gentlemen, how's it going?
We're doing good.
How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. Don't let Gary, make sure you edit out that last part when you just introduced me. Gary might get upset about that. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Gonna go road rage on me.
You definitely should edit that out. He's going to take a trip down to Florida. Guys, let's cut to the chase. You guys were just talking about quarterbacks. Fahey, I think we're lockstep in terms of agreeing on this subject, but I got to get it off my chest because my show is an AFC show. I get a little bit less time to talk about the Jets than you guys do.
Maybe that's why your hair isn't gray yet.
Well, that's what I'm here to do. But I got to talk about Christian Hackenberg. And, when we drafted him in the second round, admittedly, I didn't really watch much of him in the pre-draft process. I really didn't think of him being as an option. I really didn't hear much good about him, so didn't really bother to watch much of him. But after we drafted him, I'm thinking, okay, we took this guy, second-round pick. Obviously, McCagney has big plans for him for the future. So I went to draftbreakdown.com and watched every single one of the 21 videos. 21! I don't know of any other prospect that has more videos than that on draftbreakdown.com. And not just that, watched all the Matt Waldman RSP film rooms and boiler rooms on him. Tried to get any information that I could on him. Read every article, listened to podcasts about him, which prompted me to do my own podcast, Christian Hackenberg in Depth, episode 53 of AFC Pros. It's just a single podcast where I just discuss different aspects of Hackenberg, who he is, his leadership qualities, different articles written about him, et cetera, et cetera. And I came down to the conclusion at the end that, I think the guy's got some intangibles. I think he wants to win. I think he wants to be good. But that doesn't cut it. You need more than that. And my conclusion at that point in time was he's just far too inaccurate to ever succeed in the NFL. And the reason why I'm bringing this guy up right now is because, we didn't get the guys that we wanted. Kyle, you and I wanted Tyrod. That didn't happen. Ben wanted Tyrod. That didn't happen.
I also wanted
David,
Tyrod.
I was just about to mention you, David, because I think you did too, but I wasn't positive. There's a couple other guys we were willing to take maybe. Maybe we could make a run at Kirk Cousins, possibly trade away a pick, or maybe there would have been some other guys that we would have been willing to take. Some of us wanted Cutler. We certainly saw him as a better option.
None of us wanted Cutler. None of us wanted Cutler.
No.
I'm not saying you guys. I'm talking about Jets fans as a whole. So
we don't consider them a viable source for opinions, the people who accredited to that opinion.
Okay, that's fair. But anyway, the point is that because of circumstance, because we're in this horrible-looking quarterback situation, everybody is now starting to root for Hackenberg and starting to have a skewed opinion about what his skill set is and now we're starting to see the Hack Hive emerge on Twitter. We're starting to see people change their Avies to Hackenberg Avies. But guys, he's just not good. And let's take case in point. Everyone wants to point back, well, this freshman year under Bill O'Brien, a guy that brought pro-style concepts. He did it as an 18-year-old freshman in college. He handled that system. He took snaps from under center like no other. And yes, he did do that. And yes, at 18 years of age, he showed you some promise to think, hey, listen, this kid, he's got some size. He's got a decent arm. He's doing this, taking steps from under center. 18 years old, he does have some potential to maybe be something. But he really didn't show you all that much. And, when I saw this Hack Hive crap emerging, I said, you know what? Let me go back and watch the one game which everyone says was Hackenberg's best game of his whole collegiate career. And that was his freshman year versus Wisconsin.
Yep.
And he had like 4 touchdowns in that game. But if you go and you watch the game closely, you still see a lot of the questionable things. You still see him underthrowing receivers on vertical routes, receivers having to slow down, break their stride. You see him on the intermediate routes. He's throwing the ball way too high. And, yes, the receivers are snagging it, but that's because he had Allen Robinson going up to get the ball. And even if you look at his later years, Chris Godwin made so many acrobatic catches where he's going up to get the ball. And I think Chris Godwin's going to be a pretty good receiver. I mean, he's not going to be great, but he could be a solid number 2 in this league for years to come. But when you look at it, so he was very inaccurate in the short and underneath game. And even in that game, this is supposedly Hackenberg's best game of his college career. You'll see that when he has pressure around him, he's not stepping into his throws. This guy just poops the bed when things don't go right, and he's got pressure around him. So, and he's just so inaccurate. And when the NFL is predicated upon a short passing game, well, that short passing game, what do you have to do to win? You have to get yards after catch. Just look at the New England Patriots. They've been executing this model for years, but that's because Brady is precisely accurate. And when you're like Christian Hackenberg, and when you're throwing the ball too high or throwing it too low or throwing it too far out in front of the receiver or throwing it too far behind him, you stop the receiver's ability to catch the ball in stride and make 5-6 yards after the catch. So if his freshman year against Wisconsin is the gold standard, if that's what we have to hang our hats on and hang our optimism on, that he can be good, I'm sorry. I don't buy it for 1 second. Because the fact is, if he didn't get better, you could argue that he got worse. And it continues in the preseason. Yes. What happened in the preseason? He was 6 for 16 in that Giants game. The Giants game, he had that one nice scripted drive where he went down and scored a touchdown. And, yeah, he looked pretty good on that drive. But what did he do in the 2, 3, 4 drives after? He was 6 for 16. That's a terrible completion percentage. And then the next week in Philly, by the way, he was throwing to Robbie Anderson in that game, and he was throwing to that scrub Jalen Marshall too. But those guys are guys that got significant burn on NFL Sundays. So let's not act like he wasn't throwing to at least decent receivers in terms of a preseason matchup. And what did he went 13 for 43 in that game, and he had a turnover that went for 6 points. It looked just like the college days yet again. So when has this guy ever showed any potential to be the guy? So I'm really sick and tired of so many fans saying, you can't draft the quarterback at 6 because then you're giving up on Hackenberg, who was a second-round pick. Now I ask you the question. If that's the belief that you have, Jets fans, how did it work out for the Carolina Panthers when they took Cam Newton, number 1 overall, when the previous year they took Jimmy Clausen with the 48th pick in the draft? He was also a second-round pick. They saw that Clausen blew. They saw that he didn't have it. And they, you know what? They cut their losses. They said, you know what? Sometimes you just got to know when to walk away. And that's what they did. They drafted Cam, and what did it do for them? Got them to the Super Bowl last year. Now they know that they could potentially make a run for the Super Bowl every year because they got a franchise top 10 quarterback. So I'm not saying that any one of these guys is really worth the 6th pick, but if you think they are, just because you took Hackenberg, that should not be Hackenberg should not be a deterrent from taking them at 6. Your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, David, go ahead. You start.
Yeah, Kyle. I want to thank you for calling in, and you actually brought a lot of fire just now on Christian Hackenberg, and I actually have to agree with every word you said, because not to also mention the fact that not only did the game review or the film review actually prove what Christian Hackenberg really was, Also, his stats. He was very raw and inconsistent, according to the stats and according to the scout reports. And honestly, I think he has actually digressed because he was redshirted this year and didn't have a chance and barely had a chance to get on the field. And you also mentioned preseason, and you are 100% right, Kyle. I mean, he was very inaccurate during the preseason, and he actually had a terrible completion percentage, and even had a couple of turnovers here and there that possibly cost us 2 preseason wins. Now, moving into this year, Christian Hackenberg is now competing for the starting job. Josh McCown is brought in, and now you have Bryce Petty and Christian Hackenberg, all of them having quarterback competition for the number 1 spot. Obviously, Hackenberg would not be the number 1 starter. I don't think he has the potential. Who do you think could be the number 1 starter? Do you think it could be McCown? Do you think it could be Petty? Or do you think the Jets could shock us and draft a quarterback at number 6 like Trubisky or Watson?
I think if you talk to a lot of personnel people, a lot of scouts throughout the league, they seem to have a lot of respect for McCagnon. Matt Miller has a tremendous amount of respect for him. I think Jeremiah does as well, Daniel Jeremiah. I think a lot of guys that really have put their nose to the grindstone and really been working in organizations for years, I think a lot of them think that McCagnon is a smart guy. And if McCagnon is a smart guy, I mean, I've said this on Twitter a couple times recently. When there was rumors about Simeon, I know, Fahey, you kind of like Simeon. I don't really respect McCagnon's quarterback evaluations to this point, but all it takes is hitting the right guy one time to change that opinion. Yep. And I think that I do kind of believe the reports out there. We saw Benjamin Allwright recently tweet that the Jets are pretty high on both Trubisky and Watson. And I wouldn't be shocked if they drafted either one of them at 6. I also wouldn't be shocked if they drafted Kaiser at 6. I know that you saw McCagnon went out to Notre Dame.
I will cry.
Well, McCagnon went out to Notre Dame games, and he scouted him. Like, remember how everyone was tweeting out at Hackenberg's pro day where McCagnon was sitting and staring at him, he had his eyes laser focused right on Hackenberg. You could see a similar image of during the season when he was doing the same thing with Kaiser. I think that McCagnon kind of likes big quarterbacks, strong arm type of quarterbacks. I mean, that's what the philosophy was with Hackenberg. So I wouldn't be shocked. I would absolutely be floored if he drafted Mahomes at 6. But I could definitely see Trubisky or Watson at 6. And if I think either one of those guys is there at 6, and I'm not even sure that's the case because Cleveland's got so much firepower that they could draft Garrett at number 1, and then they could trade up to Tennessee at 5 or to Jacksonville at 4 and snag Trubisky if he's there or snag Watson. And we all know the 49ers could go with one of those 2 guys at number 2. So I'm not saying that both of those guys or either one of them will be there at 6, but I could see the Jets going there. And I think that if they do take that guy, if it's Watson, I think Watson's definitely the starter day 1. If it's Trubisky, I could see McCown starting this season because I think that McCagnon wants to have the slow approach to work the quarterbacks in slowly. That was the approach with Hackenberg. But then again, Bowles makes the final call with that, and if Bowles knows his job's on the line this year, so
he's going to go
with the guy. Yeah, so he's going to go with whoever he thinks gives him the best chance to win, which, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if Trubisky or Watson beat McCown out because McCown, let's just be honest, he sucks. But let's say that if they don't draft the quarterback in the first couple rounds, I think it's going to be McCown because I think Hackenberg blows. Petty definitely blows. Petty's got less potential than Hackenberg, in my honest opinion, and he's got a torn labrum. But
yeah.
If I had to put my money on it right now, I think they're going to draft a quarterback at 6. I really do. Because I think that there's so much talent that one of those 2 guys is going to get pushed to 6. And the question is, if it's Trubisky, can he beat out McCown? If it's Watson, I think Watson, he's just got too much swagger. He's got too much of a commanding personality. Whether or not he's good is a different story. But I think that they say he's the most pro-ready. I think they would give him the job.
All right, Kyle, I know you have to go fairly soon, so let me just go ahead and get my takes in on here. Completely agree with you with Hackenberg. Have never liked him as a prospect. Never will. I cannot see anything he does right. He's not accurate. He doesn't have a fantastic accuracy downfield. I know he has a strong arm, but it doesn't matter if you can get it 75 yards down the field. It doesn't matter if you can get it 75 yards down the field in your guys' hands. He's not mobile. Really, the pro experience, besides that 1 year with Bill O'Brien, which was a okay year for him, a lot better statistically than it really was on film. I've never liked Hackenberg, never will. Same goes with Petty. McCown, 1 year Band-Aid. The more and more I think about it, the more and more I simulate it. The two scenarios. Trubisky's going number 2, or Trubisky's going number 6. That's just what I can
Yeah,
say.
I agree.
And I really
or the Browns trade up to like 4 or 5 and snag him because they're supposedly high on him too.
No, I think right now, if I'm the Browns, I take the chance right here, knowing I'm not going to be that good again this year. I keep the stockpile of draft picks right now that I have, build my franchise, and go in with, God, what's his name? The quarterback.
Cody Kessler?
Cody Kessler. I think Hugh Jackson can do a lot of things with young quarterbacks. If they need to go on Cody Kessler for a year, maybe experiment with him a little bit more, do it. You're not going to have less than a top 5 pick next year anyway. You can trade up then still. I think they should continue with the draft pile they have right now and not trade up. If I was them, that's what I would do. But then again, that's coming from a Jets fan's opinion who really wants his franchise quarterback. Kyle, briefly, I brought this up to you yesterday when we talked. My pro comparison for Mitch Trubisky. Oh, hold on. I'm having it. Can you guys still hear me? My internet just crashed.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, okay. Wow, shocking. My pro comparison, Mitch Trubisky, Matthew Stafford. I think he's just a more athletic version of him. Your thoughts on that?
I really don't think that's a good comparison, Kyle, and I have a lot of respect for you. But that I don't see that at all. I mean, Stafford's got a hose for an arm. He can make literally all the throws. I think Trubisky has a really overrated arm. People are saying that he's got a great arm. Well, on the radar gun, he tested, I would say maybe average to above average, 55 miles per hour, but that's not the end-all, be-all. But you just look at the tape and look at his downfield throws. He is not a good downfield thrower. He's pretty good in the short and intermediate game, and the ball will come out with a decent amount of zip. But when you compare his arm to Stafford, it's not even close. I would say Mahomes is a better comparison to Stafford, a much better comparison than Trubisky, to be honest.
Well, they are similar in times and height and weights for Mahomes, so that's also a possibility. And my comparison for Mahomes is Jay Cutler. But okay, Kyle, it's 8:30. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for all your takes. I agree with most of them except the Trubisky take towards the end. Go ahead and give us all your information. You run a great podcast. You guys are having a show tomorrow night, right?
Correct. That's not usual, but might be the case going forward as, life gets in the way sometimes and, you have business ventures and Gary's moving on to some things. But anyway, AFC East Bros on Twitter. My brother's AFC_EastBro Gary. We were on a show, AFC East Bros. It's on all the podcast places, and we're on YouTube. And Kyle Fahey comes on pretty often, so we have fun with it. Anyway, thanks for having me, guys. Take care.
Thanks for being on, Kyle. All right. And once again, that was Kyle from AFC East Bros. Runs a great podcast with his brother Gary Smith. Not sure how I feel about Gary. No, I'm joking. He's a great guy. But man, he made a good point. Patrick Mahomes may be a much better comparison to Matthew Stafford than Jay Cutler. Oh no, this just ruined everything for me. So I have all their measurables right here for the comparisons. Mahomes, as I said, I have the Cutler. Mahomes is 6'2", Cutler's 6'3". They're both 225. Mahomes runs a 4.80, and Cutler ran a 4.79. But I think Mahomes is much faster on the field than Jay Cutler is on the field. Don't know why. You watch the game, he's much more mobile in the pocket. He can scramble out than Jay Cutler is. Then you look at Matthew Stafford. He's 6'2", 225, and ran a 4.8. And Mahomes and Stafford have very similar arms. So this just rocked my whole comparison thing, and now I'm going to have to edit this whole thing. But off topic. David, anything you want to take away from that Kyle call before we go on to the next caller of the night?
Well, yeah, Kyle actually brought up a lot of good points, especially on Christian Hackenberg. I mean, obviously Christian Hackenberg does have potential in him, some potential in him. Then I think that's why Mike McCagnon drafted him, because Mike McCagnon could be playing big things for him. But pretty much like Kyle said, what we saw out of last year and what we saw out of this year when he did practically nothing and sat on the bench the entire time, watching Ryan Fitzpatrick constantly throw interception after interception after interception, I honestly think he's digressed. And honestly, I think drafting a quarterback at number 6 could be a good option because, honestly, in my mind, I think possibly finding your franchise quarterback with the top 10 pick could be one way to go because I feel like lots of teams have done it in the past. And if the Jets were to do it with the top 10 pick, I think it could actually be somewhat of a beneficial part for the Jets. I won't be upset if the Jets draft Trubisky or Watson at number 6 because
I'll be upset with one of those.
I can't take those two. I would take one of those, but if they draft someone like Malik Hooker or Jamal Adams at 6, I mean that's okay too. But as long as the Jets can find that franchise player with that top 10 pick they have, who know that they can fill up their depth chart and who know they can actually be good for them, I'm in all ears. And honestly, I won't be upset if Trubisky or Watson is drafted. If anything, I could actually be looking forward to it. But then again, though, the only problem is, would you be going with a 4-quarterback system again?
Honestly, it's not about winning next year. So yeah, I'm not against it.
Really? So you would want to go with 4 quarterbacks next year?
I don't want to go with it, but if it comes down to it, I'm not against it. Like last year, I wasn't against it either.
Hello? You play to win the game.
See, David gets like 5 or 6 episodes of him co-hosting, and he thinks he runs the show. Thinking he can bring up Jim Moore up on me right now. Really?
Well, listen. Just trying to get some sense into your head. You play to win the game. You can't.
We don't play to win next year. We play to get better
but
by
you still
getting
play
draft
to
picks.
win. Well, yes. I mean, we're probably not going to be good next year, but that doesn't mean you can't have that winning mentality on your mind.
That's exactly what it means.
Kyle, it's not. We're not. I don't think we can get the number 1 pick and draft Sam Darnold. I mean, if somehow we draft Sam Darnold next year, that'll be the biggest miracle ever in my mind.
Well, it might not be Sam Darnold. It could possibly be Josh Allen, who, if he came out this year, he'd be my number 1 quarterback.
One of those two. But if somehow we do pull off a top 3 pick next year, then I'll be all in for one of those two.
All right, fair enough. We're going to go into our next go of the night, and that is our good friend, David's waffling buddy, Justin. Justin, what is going on, my man? Thanks for calling in.
What's up, guys? How are we doing tonight?
We're doing pretty good. We got ourselves a franchise quarter. We got ourselves a franchise quarterback. I mean, we're looking good.
I don't know about that.
So, Justin, what is your take on Josh McCown, and how would it affect the young quarterbacks that are competing for the starting spot this year?
I mean, I don't know what Kyle just told in, what he was talking about. Josh McCown's the starter? No, he's not. He was brought in because there's no better options. Let's hope. I want to see Bryce Petty beat out Josh McCown for the starting job. We don't know what we have in Bryce Petty yet. So, I mean, I want to see Bryce Petty beat out Josh McCown.
Really? Why so?
Why so? Because we don't know what we have in Bryce Petty yet, and Josh McCown is trash, and we know that, and he's gone next year regardless of what he does. So might as well see what we have in Bryce Petty, because if he can't beat out Josh McCown, we'll get rid of him next year, and we'll go to the next guy, and we'll evaluate Christian Hackenberg within the first five games maybe he'll be playing.
All right, so David, can I step in here?
Go ahead, Kyle.
All right, Bryce Petty will not beat out Josh McCown. I can guarantee you that. Guarantee that right now.
Guarantee you that? Well, if
guaranteed it.
Close, it should be.
I will guarantee my spot on the Jet Take.
Not so sure about that.
And I hold 50% stock in the Jet Takes.
Okay, well, the fact that freaking Josh McCown is a 30-year-old veteran who's had more injury history than Bryce Petty, you gotta see the fact that, yes, Bryce Petty was in a little bit of a quarterback tandem last year, but Bryce Petty does have pluses to him. I mean, yes, he had an injury history, and he's missed a couple of deep balls here and there, and his 7 interceptions really did put us a big blow. But honestly, I think that could be better than what Josh McCown's done his entire career, bouncing around the league.
Bryce Petty has improved his first 2 years. We got to see if he can take that next step.
His first 2
Yeah,
years,
Bryce Petty has shown
He's improved?
for the first 2 years. Yeah.
What has he improved on? What has he improved on? Exactly.
Well, Bryce Petty, he barely even played the first year. So, I mean, he got in.
Did he get a snap the first year? I don't think he got a snap.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. He got some in-game experience. He was okay. And the offensive line killed him. I mean, we still don't know what we fully have in Bryce Petty.
Wait, I'm pretty sure we know exactly what we have in Bryce Petty, but how did the offensive line kill him?
Offensive line, they almost got him killed last year.
Because he couldn't make an adjustment at the line and noticed that there was a 4-man front? He still didn't have the snap count. He still didn't have the snap count down. There was a reason he got the ball before the rest of the offensive line moved. He went up to the center and said, "Hey, we're going for this." Didn't tell the rest of the offensive line because he's not experienced. He's not smart enough to comprehend an NFL-style playbook because he never did it at Baylor, and he's never been asked to do it into his life until now. And we traded up to get him.
Whoa, Kyle! Did you not actually see his stats at Baylor?
They were great. They were great for 3 rounds.
Listen, I honestly think Bryce Petty did emerge at Baylor. Did you not see his stats his junior year?
He was great in college. He was great in college, but he didn't run a pro-style offense. That's why he doesn't translate to the NFL. He's a gunslinger quarterback who's not accurate and isn't athletic enough.
What is starting Josh McCown? What does it really accomplish, though? Let me ask you that question.
We're not really trying to accomplish anything this year.
Exactly. So you see what you have in Bryce Petty, and you see what you have in Hackenberg, and this is the year.
But you're talking about who's going to win the job. And I think it would be Josh McCown. I think he's better.
Anything close? If Petty and Josh McCown are close, Petty gets the nod.
I don't think they'll be close, though.
I'm not so sure about that one.
I look at Petty and I see nothing.
Josh McCown is
actually Josh McCown isn't complete trash.
Whoa. Is freaking Ryan Fitzpatrick. Josh McCown is that bad.
Exactly. Justin is bringing up my point on Josh McCown being Ryan Fitzpatrick 2.0.
He's better than Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Josh McCown was brought in here is because the options were terrible and they were better than the other options.
Whoa. Hold on. You think Josh McCown's a better quarterback than Jay Cutler?
Well, Jay Cutler's price tag.
That wasn't in it at first. You said no better option at quarterback.
You got to consider all factors.
Well, I'm pretty sure I can get Colin Kaepernick in here. He doesn't have any other offers.
Trash, drama, and he doesn't matter. He's not a young quarterback. Why when we have young quarterbacks on the roster are we going to bring in an old guy?
Kaepernick's a young quarterback.
Who?
Kaepernick. He's young. He's cheap. He does a lot.
Drama. His price tag's too pricey.
No, he doesn't have any other offers. How's his price tag too pricey? Nobody else is giving him a call.
You know what, Justin? Let me help you out here. Let me help you out here. I mean, Kyle right now is trying to pull a Tyson. He's trying to bully you. Okay. Listen, Kyle, you're right. We're not going to go anywhere.
Somebody on the line knows a thing or two about Tyson, and he will let us know if I'm pulling the Tyson right now when he gets on after Riot.
Well, listen to this, Kyle. Starting Josh McCown, in my opinion, will do nothing because you're right. We're not going to accomplish anything next year. So why not put your young guys in and give them more in-game experience? Especially Bryce Petty. Okay?
That wasn't the discussion though. It was who was going to win the job, and I think Josh McCown.
So why can't Bryce Petty win the job?
Because I don't think he has the talent to do it.
And Josh McCown does.
That shows you where Bryce Petty is.
If he can't beat out Josh McCown, then he should be gone.
I think he will be gone.
Listen, Josh McCown is older than Bryce Petty. He has a lot more injury history.
I agree with you. It's probably smarter to start Bryce Petty. Wow, I said smarter to smart. Wow. It's probably smarter to start Bryce Petty, but the question was, who do you think was going to win, or who would win? And I think it's Josh McCown. I think Josh McCown would win the competition.
Anything close, it's Bryce Petty's job. It doesn't matter if Josh.
But as I said before,
McCown
I don't think it will be close.
Starting.
You also have to give the fact that Bryce Petty has to play a full season so we can actually see what he truly is, because
That's not necessarily true.
Why?
Well, no, I disagree with that point. Bryce Petty does not have to play a full season.
Well, listen, I mean, Justin, you want to see what Bryce Petty really is, so why not give these young guys a shot and see what they really have?
How many games did he play last year?
4.
He started that Ram game, came into the
Rams,
full game.
Miami, 49ers.
New England, he came in about like 5-ish, I believe.
Okay, so he played actually decent defenses in the Patriots, the Rams, and the Dolphins. I mean,
he showed some signs, though.
What did he show signs of?
Improvement. He wasn't great. He was okay. He wasn't great. He needs more time. You need to see what you got. It takes time to develop. You people don't understand that.
Then he's not your franchise quarterback if he needs to be developed. Honestly, for 2 years, 2 or 3 years.
All quarterbacks need to develop. So
that's not true.
Aaron Rodgers developed behind friggin' Brett Favre, and Brady developed behind Drew Bledsoe.
Here's the difference. Bryce Petty can't beat out Josh McCown. Aaron Rodgers can't beat out Brett Favre.
But the thing is, we don't know that.
I'm pretty confident that Bryce Petty can't beat out Josh McCown. Same goes with Christian Hackenberg.
Christian Hackenberg's a given.
He's competing for the backup.
Let's just go on for.
Yeah, let's get off this quarterback topic.
Yeah, let's get off this quarterback topic.
No. I want to continue with this quarterback topic because I think it's
Justin, we have other topics that Justin. We have other topics that
and we have other callers.
We have other callers. So if we're not going to comply here. I don't want to, but let's go on to the next topic. What is your thoughts on the signing of Morris Claiborne?
I mean, it's obviously a good signing. The guy's still young, and the deal we got was excellent. And I just wish it was a multi-year deal.
Really? Why so?
Yeah, it was a no-brainer. Obviously, $6 million, and it's a no-brainer for a guy who's still young, still talented when he's on the field, and it's a no-brainer. It was a great move. Should have been a multi-year deal.
Okay, but say it was a multi-year deal, and in his first couple of years, even when he was healthy, he wasn't that great. It wasn't really till last year where he turned on the Jets.
When he was on the field, he was a very good corner.
He was a good corner, you are right. But honestly, I think what the Jets are trying to...
All right, go ahead.
He wasn't good when he was on the field?
No,
in his first couple of years, he was considered a bust, by far.
Like, I think what the Jets are trying to do, though, is they're trying to see how Claiborne will kind of really go into that adjustment of wearing green and white. And I think Mike McCown wants to...
You got to remember.
Yeah, exactly. We want to see if he can stay healthy and he's truly worth a multi-year deal.
If he doesn't stay healthy, it's a one-year deal. That's why I think it was a good deal. If he's not, you get rid of him.
There you go.
All right. Well, you said that we should have signed him to a multi-year deal.
There you go. Now, Justin, actually, I forgot my question. Kyle, what was your question?
I was kind of coasting on you right now.
Okay, well, Justin, now that Josh McCown is on the Jets and Bryce Petty and Christian Hackenberg are competing out for... Oh, my God,
not again.
Hey, listen, this is not going back to that debate. This is actually going to the draft now. If you listen to...
No. For quarterback, you're going to ask me at 6?
Why?
Yeah.
No. You got to see what you have on the roster, and there's too talented of a players at number 6. You can't just keep drafting quarterback after quarterback. You got to see what you got and develop these guys. You can't just keep drafting.
Actually, I want to rebuttal this. Why not?
Why not? Because guess what? You know how much pressure? They'll try to run you out of town in a rebuilding year. You ran Geno Smith out of town. You already want to run Bryce Petty out of town.
Actually, Geno didn't even have to move. He's literally the locker room across from us.
Not true, because lack of coaching, when he was a rookie. Shouldn't have started. Lacked the talent around him.
What? This is. You said we ran Geno out of town.
Yeah, the fans ran him out of town when in reality he was the best option for the team this year.
He's still in the same stadium, so we didn't technically run him out of town. But I get your point.
Yeah. It's just mind-boggling. You're going to draft a quarterback in a rebuilding year when next year is even a better draft class? It doesn't make sense. You don't know what you have on the roster right now. Why are you going to draft a quarterback? Because you're desperate for a quote-unquote franchise guy? There's a reason McCown...
We've been desperate for how many years now?
Yeah, desperate for...
Exactly. You can't wait another year? You can't wait another year?
I mean, I guess since Joe Namath, Vinny Testaverde and Chad Pennington, they were good, and they played for us for numerous years, but I wouldn't consider them franchise quarterbacks.
Yeah, exactly. So why not wait another year when the class is a little bit better, and why don't you see what you have in a quarterback? Because if you draft a quarterback this year, basically saying goodbye to Hackenberg, and you're cutting your losses with him if you draft a quarterback.
I'm okay with that.
So am I.
I'm completely fine with that.
When was the last time?
I am completely fine with that.
When was the last time we drafted a quarterback with the top 10 pick?
Mark Sanchez, 2009.
And what Mark Sanchez led us to 2 AFC title games. So who can't say that this could happen again?
Yeah, well, you're not. You don't understand. I'll say it again. In a rebuilding year, when you're not expected to be good, you want to draft a franchise guy.
Yeah, because now he can work out all of his kinks right now without getting any blame on him, without getting any pressure.
Not really. He'll be booed at him at Life Stadium, just like the rest of them.
He's actually under
arrest. Quarterback.
All right, David, never get that high of a decibel again. Justin.
Not even be an option.
Justin.
Not an option.
The fans have absolutely nothing to do with the general manager's decision. Mike McCown has shown that. All right, well, maybe except the Darrelle Revis signing. Maybe that one was influenced by the fans.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Was there a better option?
Yes, Geno Smith. What do you mean, is there a better option?
With what Ryan Fitzpatrick showed on the field the year before that, there's no way Mike...
Trash. Look at the film. He was trash.
Did we win games? Did we win games? Did he get us comeback victories? Did we beat the Patriots in overtime? Justin, man, you're just... All right. There was no way Mike McCown could have known Ryan Fitzpatrick was going to come in and do that. So you can't really blame...
There's obvious ways because he was trash his whole career.
Well, if you have a 7th-round pick who's been bouncing around the league and rarely getting starting experience, you can't really criticize him.
There's a reason he never made the playoffs in his career. There's a reason for it because the guy sucks.
He didn't suck with the Jets in year 1.
He did not. No one expected...
In fact, he was above average, and he
had
good chemistry. He had good chemistry in the locker room. Things were working. There was no reason not really to re-sign him except the price tag. Justin, you say watch the film like you did. For the people who actually watched the film and developed their opinions,
lost to the Eagles. Raiders lost to the Raiders. These weren't good teams.
All right, the Raiders are actually a fairly decent team. They were developing at the time.
No, they weren't. The Raiders weren't good.
And he was hurt. He got hurt in that game. So you can't blame that on him.
We were down 21-0 or 21-3.
Ryan Fitzpatrick didn't even play against the Raiders.
Ryan Fitzpatrick got hurt on the first drive of the game against the Raiders. So you can't blame that.
Fitzpatrick should have never... Why are we even discussing this guy?
Justin, you're not bringing it tonight, man. I guess David's going to have to warm up his own waffles.
Yeah, I guess so, because drafting a quarterback would be stupid.
All right, so what would you do? What would you do?
What do you mean? It's an obvious move. If you can trade back, you trade back. It's not.
All right, you say that like there are people who want to trade back with us. Do you know for sure there's going to be people who want to trade back for us?
Yeah, well, I know for sure the Browns are interested in Trubinsky, and we should be calling them on the phone right now for that pick 12.
They have the number 1 overall pick. If they're interested in him, they have the first opportunity to do it.
That's not an option because they're going to take Garrett. We all know that. That's not going to be
do we know that? Maybe they know something about Garrett we don't. Maybe they don't like something about him.
Not
we
sure
don't know
about that.
We don't know anything about that, Justin.
Yeah, we do. It's basically a lock.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, it was basically... It was basically a lock that Dan Marino was going before Ken O'Brien. It was basically a lock that Warren Sapp was going before Kyle Brady. I mean, locks tend to get broken in the NFL.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
it was basically a lock that RG3 is a Hall of Fame quarterback.
No, it's not. It's not. Because RG3 didn't work out. And
neither did Bryce Petty or Christian Hackenberg. And Justin, we're going to leave you with that. Thank you so much for calling in, Justin.
All right, next guy. Oh my God, what if?
Wow. I didn't expect this to happen tonight.
I was trying so hard, bro, not to laugh throughout that. Oh man. All right. We're gonna go on to our next call tonight. Deep breaths. Recover. That whole rant needs to be clipped up. I'm gonna have Ben clip that up while he's on his first class charter flight right now.
Or his private jet will be next anyway. So.
Oh yeah. Well, is he getting a private flight from Atlanta? Is that where he's connecting to?
I have no idea. He didn't even tell me. But let's move on.
Yeah, let's go on to the next caller, and that is our good friend Ryan. Ryan, please don't pull that on us. Bring some heat.
Ryan, how you doing tonight, man?
No. Did Justin kill Ryan?
No, probably not. Ryan's
Hello?
not here.
Sorry.
There he is.
There he is. What's up, Ryan? How you doing?
Sorry about that. My phone was on mute.
So
yeah, we don't blame you. We don't blame you.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on Justin's little rant that just happened moments ago?
Yeah, I don't know what he was drinking tonight, but Justin had some bad takes tonight.
Oh my God! What did you disagree with primarily?
I mean, just the quarterback situation. One, I think McCown is going to start. That was the first thing.
Thank you.
Second thing, things happen in this league. Like, for example, the Panthers taking Jimmy Clausen and then taking Cam Newton, the first overall pick the next year. Like, it happens. The teams make mistakes and they move on. You wipe it away easily. It's not that big of a deal. It's not like Hackenberg was a top 10 pick. He was a second-round pick, and obviously, the Jets see him every day in practice for a whole year, and if the Jets feel that he's not going to be the answer, then there's no reason for them not to draft a quarterback at 6. I think that's ridiculous that fans are suddenly all Hackenberg fans because there was no Hackenberg fans a couple weeks ago, but now since we got McCown, they seem to be coming out in numbers now, which I really don't understand.
Yeah, I don't even know. I agree with you, man. I don't even know why the Hackenberg fans are coming out because it's clear that Hackenberg has shown you...
The hack hive lives.
He's showing you no progression, if anything, degression, okay? He had a terrible completion rate in the preseason and was very raw and inconsistent in college. And honestly, the fact that the Jets decided to redshirt him this year, that just kind of digresses play, in my opinion. I honestly don't think Hackenberg probably would be an option to start at all this year. I mean, I did agree with Justin at one point. Well, I didn't exactly agree with Justin, but I'm saying Bryce Petty could be out Josh McCown because, he's had more experience with the team than McCown. But McCown will probably get the starting job because he is the veteran, and it's not going to be good next year anyway. And who knows, Bryce Petty could actually have a little bit of struggle coming off that torn labrum. So, I actually agree with Kyle here saying McCown could start, but Justin actually did bring up points about Bryce Petty starting. But Ryan, more free agent signings. Marcus Claiborne, our boy that we were trying to go on about last week. 1 year, $5 million deal. What are your thoughts?
Obviously, I was pretty pleased we signed him. Obviously, it's not a long-term contract. I think that it's smart to give him a 1-year deal because he has to prove to us that he can stay healthy if we want to sign him long-term. I think that, obviously, he was regarded as a bust for his first few years in Dallas, but the last a year and a half, and because in 15 he started to play well, and then 16, before he got hurt, he was, according to stats, he was like a top 10, top 15 corner. So I think that the light bulb was starting to finally come on for Claiborne. Obviously, he's still not past injuries, so giving him a 1-year deal was definitely smart, and I think that we needed it. I think that we needed a veteran in here, and it's probably smart because, we're probably this draft class is also loaded, so you can pair Claiborne with guys like we already have, like, I'm excited for Burris, and we're probably going to draft 1 or 2 corners, so secondary could definitely be upgraded next year.
Yeah, man, I agree with you 100%. And we actually discussed that earlier on in the episode. Drafting a corner in the second round honestly could provide us some solid depth, and it could actually be a good pairing with Claiborne and whoever we could draft, someone like maybe Quincy Wilson in the second round. Hopefully he could fall there and could have the potential.
I would be so happy. I'd be so happy.
Exactly.
He's my number one corner. If he falls to the second round by some grace of God and we scoop him up, we will have to come up with some sort of stipulation for me to do like live on camera or something. I don't know. Maybe jump off a building, knock out two birds with one stone.
Don't get too crazy. But honestly, Ryan, you are 100% right. If we do draft a couple of corners here and there to provide some better depth, and we're still gonna have Buster Screen in the slot, Justin Burris possibly coming in here and there and still developing. You are right. I think our corner core could upgrade next year. But what about safety core? I mean, Marcus Gilchrist unfortunately is still on the team, and then you have Calvin Pryor who is coming into his contract year. We were of course ranting about Calvin Pryor, but do you think with that first round pick, instead of drafting a quarterback at number 6? I mean, personally, I want the Jets to draft either Hooker or Adams. Do you feel the same?
Well, Hooker's been my number one guy on the board for a couple of weeks now, but I think that the quarterback definitely has to be in play now. So at 6, I'm looking for the best player available. I think, with the team as it is right now with so many needs, we need to take an impact type of player. So whether that be a quarterback, because, the future of a franchise, and if we don't view the quarterbacks as that, then don't draft them, because we don't need another project in here. We already have 2 of them in Hackenberg and Petty. So, and if we want to wait next year, and if we like the guys next year better, obviously we'll see what Mac likes. But if there's no need to force a pick. We need impact type of players, and my number one guy I think is definitely Malik Hooker. So I'd be really excited if we got him.
Yeah, man, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt, Ryan. And I've been trying to make this point like the entire time about the draft. We have a top 10 pick in the draft. It's a make your franchise pick, in my opinion, with the top 10 pick. I mean, we had that with Leonard Williams in 2015. Look what happened. The guy is emerging. He is improving, and I'm actually really proud of it. And honestly, I think possibly the same could happen this year with the number 6 pick. And whether it's Hooker or Adams or possibly even a quarterback. I mean, and you are 100% right about drafting a quarterback at number 6 because, we are still trying to find that franchise guy. And, I mean, yes, Kyle, if we do somehow get a top 3 pick, then I'm all in for drafting a quarterback this year. But we don't know the chances of that happening, and don't get too pessimistic just yet. But, okay, I don't know what that was.
That was me accidentally clicking a video of LeVar Ball saying something stupid while on our Twitter trying to tweet, and I accidentally clicked on it.
Oh, God, Kyle, just whatever.
I'm trying to tweet your takes, and my phone's so old that it just, freezes, and I just, kept spamming it, and then it clicked on that.
Okay, Kyle, but anyhow, regardless, though, I mean, we are still looking for that franchise quarterback, and honestly, I think I'm not going to be upset if we draft on number 6. And like I've said it as an emergency case, but now as the takes are progressing about drafting a quarterback at number 6, I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards that, but I'm still in for drafting Hooker or Adams at number 6. But honestly, I'm also getting tired of these little project quarterbacks. And honestly, I would use the top 10 pick on a quarterback at this point because we drafted one 2 years ago, got us to the AFC Championship 2 years in a row, and honestly, I can't say the same thing's going to happen. I can't say something better will happen, but I think it's definitely a good option, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I totally – sorry about that, Kyle. I just want to get my takes real quick. I totally agree with that. I was listening to I think Tyson's on the line, so I was listening to his show last night, and I couldn't believe some of the callers on him going against him.
It's actually
I think
Joe.
No, Joe was the one. Joe was different.
No, Joe's not. Yeah. Okay,
well, Joe I know Joe is a big Petty guy, but and I hope that Petty, if he does start, I'm going to support whoever's starting here. It really doesn't matter. So, but the thing is, I just don't. I see him as a backup, and I just didn't see anything from last year. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I do think McCown's going to start, and I definitely get his stance because you definitely want to see what you have. But if this regime feels that if seeing these guys in practice, Petty for 2 years now, Hackenberg a full year, they know what's going on, how they developed, and if they really don't view these guys as the future, there's no need to waste a year. Obviously the quarterbacks may be better next year. As of right now, we expect that, but I heard the same thing about Deshaun Watson being a definite number 1 overall pick, and now this year the time has come, and people are kind of scared because obviously he won a national championship game, but we're not, and he's definitely going to be a first-round pick, but teams are. He's not going number 1 overall, and he might fall out of the top 5 and possibly even the top 10. I've seen him mocked to the all the way down. Yeah, I've seen him all the way drop down to the Chiefs in the bottom of the first. So there's no definite answers, but I will say this though. If it's me, I like Trubisky a lot, and I'd be happy with that pick. But like I said before, I'm not going to force the pick because that's stupid as well, because there's no need to force the pick if we're hired on guys next year like the guy from USC. So that's basically my stance. I just don't want to force anything. I want to take the best player available because we need, with a team, we're basically, obviously we're rebuilding now, so we're young. We need impact type of players, like you said, David, Leonard Williams. Those type of players are the players that we need. So there's definitely no need to force a quarterback if there's better. If we view this regime, Mac and the scouting department, view the quarterback next year is better, there's no need to take one this year. Take a guy like Hooker or Adams if he falls, or if we're not really sold on them, trade back and collect more picks. That's definitely what we got to do. Just don't force anything. That's basically what I'm stressing here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think taking Trubisky at 6 would be forcing anything because I feel like he's worth definitely considering it there. I think you definitely have to consider it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would
totally.
I don't think he's a top 10 player. I don't think he's a top 10 player, but sometimes, I know we've gone against this a couple times on the show, sometimes when it comes to a big need like that and you feel he is your guy, if the Jets feel he is their guy and he's sitting there at number 6, and I don't think he's going to make it past number 12, you do what you got to do. I would probably take Trubisky over a guy like Lattimore or Hooker anyway. So I don't think it would be too hard for at least myself to pull the trigger at number 6. But let's go back to the cornerback position. And obviously we signed Morris Claiborne. I think it was you last week who was clamoring pretty hard for him. Correct me if I'm wrong?
No, you're correct. I'm a fan.
All right, so you must be pretty happy. I think the rest of us are as well. We got a pretty decent young player for a good price. Now, here's my take on the quarterback position, and then you can give your take on it. We really only need a number 1 corner. Because at number 2, we got Claiborne, and if he's not healthy, we got guys like Marcus Williams and Justin Burris to back him up. And Justin Burris will probably be the backup to whoever number 1 is, but you get what I mean. And then at slot, or nickel, we got Buster Screen, who does a fairly good job over there. So I think we got 2, 3, and then all the depth players good to go. We just need that number 1. What is your opinion on that, or what is your spin-off take of that?
We definitely need a number 1 corner. That's definitely what we're lacking right now. But I wouldn't even be surprised if we drafted 2 corners in this draft. I'm not sure if Buster Screen is here past this year. I think he might be cut in this. I think he'll be here for this year. I'm saying about the 2018 season, 19 season. I think he could be cut the next off season. So don't be surprised if we take a corner round 2, round 3. Plug him in as a starter because this draft class is very deep. And then when we hit the later rounds, we take like a smaller slot guy because I think that person will eventually replace Buster Screen.
So do you see like a guy like Adoree Jackson in round 2 or 3, a guy who can come in and be a really good slot corner in the NFL based off of his size and speed and even a little bit of a physicality, and also be our punt returner and kick returner for while we still have Buster Screen in house?
Yeah, it's definitely an option. I mean, he's a great kick returner and punt returner, and he does more than just play the slot corner. So he's definitely useful on special teams, which we've been horrible in for couple of years now, so I wouldn't rule it out. But I think that if you're taking Adoree Jackson in the second, early second round, I think that's a little bit of a reach for him. I do think he's very talented. I just think that I think Quincy Wilson might fall out of the first, and I hope we can get him. I'm not going to guarantee that, but I think there's going to be other guys on the board, maybe like Carl Lawson. I heard Dalvin Cook might even fall out of the first. I'm not sure. This is all smoke, before the draft, but I think there's definitely going to be more talented guys that are on the board. So, but if we did take Adoree Jackson, I'm perfectly fine with that because I think he offers a future slot corner, and he's going to be an impact player on special teams from the beginning. So you can't get mad at the pick.
I could actually say the same about players like Jamal Adams too. I mean, he could actually be a great special teams player as well.
Yeah, well, he just won't be returning the kicks like Jackson.
Well, yeah.
Who can take it to the house? Who can take it to the house on really any punt or kick return he gets? So he's definitely explosive.
Yeah, I could see something like that, especially with a bargain like that. That would actually be a good pickup.
Yeah,
all right.
But before I go, Kyle, because I know you got other callers on the line. I just want to go back to the Trubisky, end it on that note. And I'm actually a really big fan. I don't know about your comparison to Stafford because I do think that Trubisky does obviously have a weaker arm just because Stafford's such like a really strong arm. So that's kind of hard to compare. But I think that Trubisky's more in the mold of a guy like Carson Wentz. And I think that I do think he's going to have some similar success to Wentz in his rookie year. I think that Wentz has showed a lot of flashes in Philly, and Trubisky, the only thing that scares me is obviously he only had 13 starts, I believe. He's a one-year starter. That's basically my only concern about him because I do view him as a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson, and I think that Trubisky, I think he's going to be pretty good, and I wouldn't mind taking him at 6.
Yep. All right, Brian, thank you so much for coming on the show. Why don't you go ahead and shout out all your social medias because you bring some fire, unlike others.
I appreciate that, Kyle. Thank you guys for having me on. You guys can follow me at NY_JetsNation98. Have a good night, guys.
All right, Ryan. Thanks for being on. And once again, that was our good friend Ryan, who brought some absolute fire tonight. Looks like David is checked out, or maybe he was just trying to limit his audio usage, but nope, he's back. David, any thoughts on Ryan's call before we move on to the next caller? Bring up a USC player. Bring up a USC player or a Notre Dame player. Bring up the Sean Kaiser.
Well, actually, I actually want to play this for Ryan right here.
Oh, no. Your use of sound bites is pitiful, and that's coming from the worst soundbite dude in the world.
Hey, listen. The reason why I played that soundbite is because he actually made a lot of great points. I actually agree with almost every...
Ryan is the bomb.com when it comes to takes, honestly.
I have to agree, and honestly,
he's rational.
I think Ryan came off the great rebound, and
I see what you did there. All right.
I think Ryan actually came up for the rebound, as we shot the ball in the air, but he actually did bring a lot of fire, and I loved everything he said, especially about the quarterbacks in the draft. And even the corners, too. I mean, he was even mentioning about the fact of drafting even someone in like the third round who could actually even be a potential special teams player. I mean, I like that take a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this draft is just so deep talent-wise that there are a lot of guys that you can get in those later rounds who might not be starters for you, but they can definitely be significantly better special teams players than what we have right now. If you look at guys like Jerome Peak, late round pick, still has a spot on the roster, not because of necessarily what he's doing at his natural position, but as what he's doing on special teams. Jerome Peak was one of the better players on special teams last year. The core of Rontez Miles, Josh Martin, and Jerome Peak, fairly good. Wow, voice crack. Fairly good special teams core. And then you add in guys like Tanner Purdom on punts. We still don't know who our kicker is, so I'm...
Tanner Purdom on punts. Long snapper, Kyle.
Yeah, he snaps the punts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, well... I mean,
Don't ever try to call me out like that again. He'll never try to call me out. And then he does run down and tackle guys, but he usually veers to the sideline a little bit. But nonetheless, we're going to go on to, hold on. Do we have something for him? Do we have a song? Do we have a song for this caller? Oh. Yeah, there it is. Is Joe from Let's Talk Jets. Joe, my man, what is going on?
Mr. Top supporter.
Oh, no. Man, you guys playing that crappy song every single time I come on here, man. Again, you guys are just really, ruining your own show, man. So, let's go ahead and get right into it, man. Let's talk Jets. What do you guys want to talk about, man?
Well, I actually want to get your thoughts right now on the McCown signing. And I was actually listening to Let's Talk Jets the other night, mainly because Kyle decided to call me out there, or actually just try to claim that I love to waffle.
I speak the truth.
Hey, listen, I do. You're right. I do occasionally waffle, but Joe, I actually have to agree with you here on your Bryce Petty takes. I honestly think that Bryce Petty though have more game experience than Christian Hackenberg, and honestly, I think Christian Hackenberg has digressed this year, and even in the preseason, he proved it too that he's really just not who people would think he is. I mean, yes, he was a second round pick, and he does have potential in him. That's why Mike McCagnon drafted him. But honestly, what you saw out of him in the game against the Eagles, and even in the last two drives against the Giants, where I think he went even under 50% in completion ratings, which is complete garbage. Bryce Petty, he has some negatives, but he has some pluses. You are 100% right. And honestly, yes, he's had some injury concerns, but Josh McCown has even more injury concerns and has a bigger injury history than Bryce Petty. So honestly, with the rebuilding team, you are 100% right. I would honestly want Bryce Petty to go in there and actually not play a full season, but get some action and hopefully beat out Josh McCown, even though Josh McCown will probably start anyway. Bryce Petty starting would actually be the smarter move if you want to actually put some young guys in there. So I actually want to get your take though on Josh McCown. What are your thoughts on McCown coming in here?
I thought it was a solid. Well, first off, I want to thank you guys for having me on the show, but I thought it was
our
solid.
Pleasure.
I think that when you look at what was left out there, and we're talking about, looking at all the factors. I'm not talking about just skill. I'm talking about all the factors. Romo, going to cost you way too much. Cutler would be just a nightmare here. Wouldn't even consider him. Kaepernick would just be a media circus. Kaepernick is probably, he's still extremely talented. He's still got some talent there. But just it would be a media circus for him to come here, and I don't think the organization would want to have anything to do with that being brought here. So when you look at all those factors and you look around, the only two guys that would probably be left is one, Geno Smith, who was already gone. I'm pretty sure the Jets front office already knew he was gone. You already know he's with the Giants. You already know he's going to sign there after he passes his physical. That door is closed, okay? Why didn't it make more of a push to get him? Maybe more of an offer. Who knows? But it is what it is. So he's gone. He's already out the door. And when you look around, the only other guy left out there is either you go with Daniels, you go with Chase Daniels, who hasn't done much of anything, or you go with McCown, who's coming off from a starting role with the Browns. So when you look at that, and I mean, it's not saying that Chase Daniels is any good either. He hasn't done anything. He's garbage. So when you look at all the garbage guys that are here, the best garbage guy out of all the garbage guys that are left, after we talk about all the factors, is McCown. So, I mean, signing him made total sense to me. It wasn't a bad move at all. I like bringing him in here. He's a veteran presence to help these young QBs grow right underneath him. Moving on to Bryce Petty. My thing with Bryce Petty is this. I don't understand how after a handful of games, we're saying that this kid is garbage and he needs to be moved on from. I don't understand this. I don't understand this situation. No, I don't. He's only started 6 games. Never mind the fact that he was playing with an offense that was depleted as well. Everyone's saying that, he's done this, he done that. He didn't look as good as he should have. First off, he did some solid things out there. We saw improvement. We saw a guy come out. We didn't just see improvement from the very beginning because he has improved overall. His mechanics has gotten better since he's gotten drafted. His reading of defenses was getting better. We saw that as the games went on. But you also have to look at who he was out there playing with. You talk about a depleted offensive line. Everyone's acting like he was just out there coasting with this supercharged offense. This guy, did you watch that Dolphins game? He was getting destroyed out there. What do you expect him to do?
I was even at that game too.
Well, yeah, one of those plays where he got crushed, he actually completed the football still and got destroyed. So
yeah.
Exactly.
My thing is this.
What I'll say about that? It was his fault. It was his fault. He didn't know the snap count, and he messed up the whole offensive line. And I think if you want to come in, you want to be the franchise quarterback, and I'm not denying Petty doesn't have any talent. He does have some things that could translate. But I don't think he did enough in college to really get him on the mental ability at the next level.
Well, here's the thing, and that's where I was going next, was, okay, if we're saying, this is my problem with the whole deal of just constantly drafting quarterbacks every single year to replace, because I hear what you're saying, Kyle. If you feel, we
you almost called me Tyson.
No, I didn't. We knew who he was when we got him. We knew we were drafting a project quarterback. The same way we knew we were drafting a project quarterback when we drafted Christian Hackenberg. I didn't agree with it. I don't think he should have got taken in a second, but he's here regardless. So you get these project quarterback guys. What are we doing to develop them? How come nobody's bringing that up?
Well,
no one has said that tonight at all. No one has talked about how are we developing these project quarterbacks. What are we doing to that? Because so far, if you look at every indication from this franchise, from this coaching staff, we don't have a plan at all.
Yep.
Look at how we've dealt with Hackenberg. Look at how we've dealt with him. We brought in a guy that we knew had bad mechanics. We knew we needed to work on him. They knew that from the very beginning. What have they done? They brought back Ryan Fitzpatrick, which was an absolute mistake. They mismanaged Geno Smith. That was an absolute mistake. You had Hackenberg. There were times they didn't even know if he was at practice. He wasn't even taking snaps. There were blurbs coming out saying that they weren't even working on his mechanics. How is that? When every scouting report, even if you're a clueless idiot, every single scouting report that you read on him tells you that he has terrible mechanics. You can watch the games and see that. So what is the plan? What is the plan? That's my question. Now,
they have no plan.
We can go into this year. We can draft another quarterback. We can draft Trubisky, who, by the way, is not a day one starter. Is not a day one starter, and that's by every scout. Merrill Hodge himself came out and said, if you draft this guy and you start him day one, it's going to be a nightmare because he's going to get destroyed out there. He's not a day one starter. He's a 1 year wonder. This kid has only started 1 year, only looked solid 1 year. Kyle, tell me the success rate of 1 year wonders in the NFL.
Yeah, I would say it's fairly rough.
Yeah, they're not very good. Exactly, fairly low, not very good. So what exactly will we be getting out of him if we drafted him this year? So you're going to bring him to a team that has issues developing quarterbacks already with 2 other project quarterbacks that we're currently working on that we haven't figured out a plan to develop. So now you're going to bring in a third one? Everyone keeps saying, well, in the last caller, I wish I was on when he came on because everybody keeps using this analogy. I don't know where it came from, but I think people just pass around analogies around Twitter.
Jimmy Clausen and Cam Newton.
Jimmy Clausen and Cam Newton. Oh, yeah. Hey, guess what? The Panthers, they took Clausen, and the next year they took Cam Newton. Cam Newton was a consensus #1 pick, day one starter. He was a day
Whoa. I don't know about that. Blaine Gabbert gave him a pretty good reference.
Come on. Stop. just stop. It was a consensus around every single scout that you could start Cam Newton off the bat. If you're comparing Trubisky to Cam Newton, you must be out of your mind. It's not the same thing. It is not the same thing at all. When are we going to start looking at our processes, how we're handling the quarterback position, how we're developing our quarterbacks, and figure that out? Because you can keep drafting these guys. You can draft Deshaun Watson if you want to at 6'2". He will fail here unless you adequately develop him. Period. I don't understand. I don't understand. Say it again.
I don't think we have the coaches, honestly.
Yeah.
We don't.
And that would be, and I agree with that as well. But these are points that I'm bringing up that no one has answers for. You can keep drafting these guys, but you have to look at your processes of what you're doing. Because if you're scouting them and you're taking these guys in the draft, they must have some type of talent. For you to reach on Christian Hackenberg, you must have saw something that no one else saw. So now you bring him in here, and after a year, you're already done with him? What did you see then during that tape that you didn't see when he was in your face? Because you held private workouts, you did all these things. So what did you see that you don't see now? The only thing that has to change is the fact that you don't have a plan. You're not planning to develop him. And we all knew he wasn't a day one starter. I just don't understand what the issue is here or why people are so confused, especially when we're talking about the fact that why draft Trubisky, why draft Watson, why draft any other quarterback here? They're not consistent starters. They're pretty much all projects still, a year or two away from actually being starters in the NFL, when we can go into 218 and take a day one starter there. That draft is full of great quarterbacks. Why do that? Why take one now this year? Makes no sense to me.
What quarterback would you want to draft in 2018? Because what are the chances that we could draft someone like Sam Darnold or Jonathan Allen? Like, those chances could be slim.
Josh Allen, not Jonathan.
Josh Allen. I'm sorry. That was a lot. I served the waffle there, but go ahead, Joe.
I don't think they're very slim at all. Have you seen this team? Do you think we're going to the playoffs?
I'm not saying we're going to the playoffs. I'm not saying we're going to the playoffs, but I'm not saying we're getting a top 10 pick, a top 2-3 pick either.
Oh well, we don't have a number one. We don't really have a number one running back. The offensive line's a big question. The defensive line has showed little effort. The linebackers are young and only good on certain downs, and we don't have a number one corner or safeties who are operable.
Listen.
We're literally we are in rebuild mode. Okay, David.
Yes, I know we are in rebuild mode, and if we are in rebuild mode, and if we actually pull off a miracle and actually get a top 3 pick and go for Darnold or Allen, then fine, I'll be happy by that. But until then, I mean, I'm just not going to expect anything out of this yet.
And that's my entire point is saying that we won't have a chance at him, like we're going to end up with the 25th pick or something like that. That's not going to happen.
I'm not saying the 25th pick. What if we get like the 15th pick or maybe even the 10th pick?
What?
I mean, hey! Who knows what could happen next year? Okay? The NFL's an
me and Joe. Apparently, only me and Joe.
David, listen, I like you. You're a good guy. I don't know where you're at right now, but we're definitely going to have a top 10 pick, okay? Because this team is not going to be very good at all. We might not be good for the next 2 years, and we're not even talking about just on the field as far as players, because we have players in certain spots. Quincy Enunwa, who's going to be stepping into his number one role. I think he's going to be solid. I love Bilal Powell. I hope he gets to start. We have spots where players are solid. But our coaching is complete garbage. So games that we don't lose on the field as far as talent, we're definitely going to lose on the sidelines. Because Todd Bowles, I don't understand why he wasn't fired. And I came on here and have a rant. I'm not going to do that again because I know you guys are short on time.
I'm just a lonely zombie.
I think that's a factor that people also need to think about as well, is that this coaching is going to be terrible too. 2 years of Todd Bowles, he hasn't shown you anything at all saying that he is a real head coaching candidate in this league whatsoever. He hasn't shown you anything. I mean, even as a defensive mind, his game plans are garbage, doesn't adjust, nothing. So those two factors alone, yes, will get you a top 10 pick. So I hear you, what you're saying, David, but it's not making much sense to me. I think me and Kyle are kind of on the same page.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm just exaggerating here. Like, I can't just expect a top 3 pick off the bat, but you know that's probably where we're gonna end up heading anyway. But I'm just not expecting anything yet. But
David, you know what you just did?
Waffle.
David, come on, you can't conform to us.
Whatever.
You have to rebel.
Oh man.
Well, whatever. But Joe, I want to go into the next topic. Morris Claiborne, 1 year, $5 million deal. What are your thoughts?
I thought that was a good deal as well. We talked about him on Let's Talk Jets. I talked about him last week. I thought it was a solid signing because when you look at the depth there, you know, after that number 3 spot, it gets shaky, man. I like Burris. I like that we brought Screen back and we didn't end up getting rid of him. I think he's going to be solid. I like Roberts as well. That's another guy that I think was mishandled last year, mismanaged by Todd Bowles. And if he gets the chance to get back out there and play on the outside where he's looked solid, I think he has a chance, potential to be a really good corner here. So I think Burris and Roberts, that matchup to me, I love that. Putting Screen back in that slot. Marcus Williams, we've tendered. I'm not as high on him. I think Well, I don't think anyone's really high on him because of the year he had last year, but I think he'll be decent there. I'm for what we got him back for. Yeah, exactly. For what we got him back for, it's not a ton of money. You know, he can be a solid number 4 corner out there. But again, after that number 3, there's a lot of questions. So you bring in Claiborne, you know, for a solid deal. This is a guy that he also has an injury history as well. But I tell you what, last year with the Cowboys, you start to see like some flickers where things were turning on. He was just kind of starting to figure things out. And he's a solid guy, especially in man-to-man coverage. That's his deal. If you put him out there and he stay healthy, I think he could contribute here. So I don't think it was a bad move at all. I think they'll continue to look to the draft to fill some of these positions as well in our secondary. Safety, still wonder why Marcus Gilchrist is here, but he is still here for some reason. But the draft, I think, is going to be vital to also fill out the rest of those cornerback spots too.
Yeah, man, I actually agree with you 100%. And, you know, signing Morris Claiborne was actually a good depth signing. You know, like you said, plays great man-to-man coverage with and I also think he has lots of versatility and has a potential to be an eventual number 1 corner. And, you know, right now I honestly think that Claiborne needs to have this year to prove that he's worth a multi-year deal. And going into the draft, too, I mean, looking into these corners like Quincy Wilson possibly, who could hopefully get drafted in the 2nd round and could fall into Gangrene and, you know, play with Claiborne and pair up with Claiborne and maybe possibly make a solid corner duo. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that would be solid. I would, honestly, if we're talking 2nd, I think 2nd round, a lot of people are talking about tight end being there as well. If we could trade, maybe if we trade down possibly in the 2nd, I think you could see a corner be taken. You could, maybe a tight end might be slashing there if we trade down, maybe late 2nd, mid-2nd, if there's still guys out there. Say it again, Kyle?
Evan Ingram.
Yeah, Evan Ingram is the name that's out there. David Nokia or Noki?
Njoku.
No, Njoku. I apologize. Njoku. David Njoku could be out there, too.
He's actually from New York.
Yeah, he's a solid guy. I like him, too. There's a couple names out there that could be out there. I really like our flexibility at 6 because we could trade down if the pass rushers or we don't feel whatever value is left there, we don't feel that it's where we want to go, we could trade down and really get some significant value from that 1st round pick too. My 1st round guy is definitely going to be Hooker off the board. If he's there, we've got to select him. We've got to pair that guy, range guy, can get around, ball hawk, and he can get after it. If he's not there, depending on whatever pass rushers could fall there, if it's a solid pass rusher, I'll take that too. If that's not there, or we don't want to take that chance, we could trade down and get some solid value. And Kyle, we talked about it. I'm a guy I'm getting higher and higher on Hassan Riddick. I really am. I think he's a guy that you could look at in the 2nd round too, if he's still there, because there's some scouts saying he might slide into that 2nd round. So if he's still there, I think that he would be value at 2nd round too. This is a guy that is ridiculously athletic, can absolutely get after it, and is a really solid pass rusher, and that's what we need here. So I think he would be value in the 2nd round as well.
Absolutely. And, you know, the draft is kind of my Matt forte, so yeah. I always just – really? Nobody laughed at that one?
No. Your jokes are not funny. Kyle, your jokes are not funny, and that's the one thing Ben and I see eye to eye on is your jokes are not funny.
Oh. I'm gonna mute myself now. I'm gonna leave for a little bit, so you can carry the show, David.
What? All right. Oh.
No, but seriously, I love talking about the draft, and you know, I think I said it last night on your show. The bad thing about this draft class for us is we need a pass rusher, but all the really good pass rushers in this draft are at defensive end. So possibility that Hassan Riddick is on the Jets' radar is very high at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, the fact that he's a really good pass rusher, supremely athletic, I think that he has to be high on our radar. Again, it would depend on where he'd fall, and we'd pick him up and figure him out. I want to get your thoughts, though, Kyle. Where would you go in the 1st round if you were the Jets?
Who's sitting there? Can you give me 5 guys? I
say if Hooker is sitting there, if let's say Garrett slides,
Whoa, I'm taking him.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Okay.
Wait, how? How is that a possibility?
Hey, remember Leonard Williams? He was the number 1 prospect in the draft and actually fell to number 6, and we snagged him. And look what happened to him. What if the same thing happened?
That's because nobody in the top 5 really needed a defensive tackle at a top 5 pick. This year, Cleveland has desperately been searching for some sort of pass rush for the past 5 years, and they traded for Jamie Collins, got him a jail sentence in there for the next 5 years. I'm sure they'll be looking to add another guy on the opposite side of them, have a little 1-2 punch there. I mean,
that would actually make a good edge rushing core. Collins,
yeah.
And Garrett, yeah.
And then Joe Hayden as your number 1, and their secondary isn't that bad. That defense would actually be something to reckon with for once in their life. Holy crap, the Cleveland Browns are going to be good before we are. That just came in my mind.
Oh, God, Kyle.
Oh, my God. I'm crying right now. Oh, it's terrible. And they have a better coach. I am disgusted.
You better talk to before I do.
Oh, that's my favorite soundbite on the show, honestly.
Nah, well, Kyle, keep going with your draft take.
And they have a better coach than us. Oh, my God. They're going to be so much better than us.
Oh, my God. Stop talking about the Cleveland Browns. This is a Jets podcast. This is not a Cleveland Browns podcast.
I mean, what's the difference? We both suck. Where was I going with this? Outside linebacker? Oh, no, we were doing who would I take. If Trubisky's there, and unless it's a guy like Garrett, I'd probably take True.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I would actually have to agree. I would probably take either Malik Hooker or maybe even Jamal Adams because I like what they both do. They both play.
Well, what about Pryor?
Well, listen, you're right.
Sound is David literally putting down the waffling iron before.
I am this close to leaving the show. But listen, there's nothing. Listen, my main is Malik Hooker, but Jamal Adams is an option because I like what Malik Hooker did in Ohio State. He is a great ball hawk. He's a great tackler. And I think he would fit well, especially since, like Ben's been saying, we've been kind of drafting strong safeties on and on, having this court. Draft a legitimate free safety. And honestly, I think Malik Hooker would be a great option, number 6.
Yeah. I got another question for you guys. Aren't you guys surprised that we haven't gone after a younger, some of these younger, faster inside linebackers and let David Harris go? Is anyone else doing that?
I am never surprised at what the Jets do, honestly, because especially when it comes to defense, because Todd Bowles has made it clear he has no idea what he's doing. And as much as I love David Harris and I kind of want him to stay, he is making too much money at the end of the day. I realize that. But I think the Jets are giving him the escort right now, his final year. He isn't a terrible player like Revis, so they don't need to absolutely get rid of him. I don't think he's as much of a liability as people said, and especially with a guy like Deron Lee still developing and still trying to find his place in the NFL. And it's pretty clear to me at this point that we don't have the coaches to develop a guy like Deron Lee. I think it's best that
No, I take that back. Sorry, Kyle.
I think it's best that we keep a guy like David Harris around.
I agree with that, and I would keep him for another year, especially with the leadership that he has, the leadership skills, and he's really never done anything like wrong that kind of really changed our opinion on him. So I would let him play on his final year as a Jet.
I don't. Yeah, but this is the thing is, it's not about doing things wrong off the field. I'm talking about the on the field stuff. When you look at David Harris, he's not a 3-down linebacker anymore. No, I'm being honest. It sounds funny, but when you watch it on TV, it's not really that funny because when you watch him, consistently getting burned by, backs and tight ends in coverage, backs and tight ends in coverage, you see these things where it's like we're going to get exploited next year as well. If you look at our linebacking core, how many linebackers do we have that are solid in coverage out of our starters?
No.
None.
Zero.
Lee hasn't shown you anything. Malden really is just really starting to really learn how to be a coverage linebacker. You got David Harris, who's probably our best coverage linebacker, but he's getting much slower,
really sad.
much older.
Really sad.
I mean, this is the factual things that I'm talking about. Like, why haven't we looked into getting a younger linebacker like
give me
Mitchell
Zach
out
Brown
there
and
now,
give me
gone.
depth.
Yeah, exactly. Zach Brown, all these guys that were out there, why don't we get younger, faster, and cheaper as well? Because some of these guys would be cheaper than what we're paying Harris this year. And so I'm just wondering about these things. If we're talking about getting a better defense, cementing this linebacking core, becoming better, and rebuilding at the same time, so you get some younger guys in here to help with that process, I don't understand why we haven't looked at that and why we haven't gone after those guys and gotten Dave Harris. Although I respect him, he's been a great Jet, football's a business. Why haven't we moved on from him and brought a younger guy in here?
If I had Todd Bowles' phone number, I'd be calling him, and I'd be asking so many questions, Joe.
Yeah.
Every Jet fan would be.
Wait. Do zombies have, like, the mobility to, like, move their thumbs and answer phones? Can they do that?
Yeah, I don't think they can. I think zombies just kind of stroll around. They just get into wherever they
show
get.
No emotion.
So, yeah.
Only yell at certain times, like in a locker room when no reporters are around and nobody really can show any credibility for them. And also, most smartphones, like the reason it could pick up like your thumbs and stuff is because of the heat coming from your body. And I'm pretty sure zombies don't like have a lot of heat coming from their body. So I guess he wouldn't be able to answer my call. He probably has a landline, though. Guaranteed Todd Bowles has a landline. I put money on that. I put a lot of money. I'm gonna tweet that right now.
Yeah, a lot. Speaking of Todd Bowles, like I was speaking about earlier as well with him, this is going to be a season that is definitely going to show us what he is, man. Factual. He's fired Chan Gailey. He's got rid of arguably his best coach. He's brought in a brand new offensive coordinator. A guy that really has, no background as far as being an actual offensive coordinator. Never really called plays before on his own. And all these guys are going to be under him. And he's got to pull the reins in. And on top of it, he's in charge of the development of all these younger players. This is the guy that's going to be in charge of the initial part of the rebuild. He's got a lot under his plate, and he's got a lot on his belt. And I'm just hoping that he steps up and becomes a way better head coach than we've seen these last 2 years. I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Unlikely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's always going to stay a lonely zombie.
Hey, I don't know. Kevin Green's he's like one of those guys that's, fire you up. You have really nothing good for the NFL scouts or, NFL standards, but hey, let's make it work somehow. I mean, maybe he could do that with Todd Bowles. Say, hey, listen, you don't know how to manage the time. You don't know how to handle the media. You don't know how to handle your locker room. You have absolutely no qualifications for this job, but we're going to make this work.
Well, here's the thing. We've had coaches that were fired up and were aggressive all the time. Pepper Johnson was extremely fired up. You got rid of him, and the defensive line didn't play at all. Listen, I thought it was a solid signing bringing Kevin Green in, but honestly, he's kind of an unknown. What has he done here yet? Nothing. He's coming into the same situation. He's got a young linebacking core, with Jenkins and Lee as well, that he's got to mold too. He's got to take care of those guys. So, like I said, Todd Bowles is going to have a lot on his plate, and he's got to handle it, man, because if not, he's going to be gone and let go at the end of the season.
Yep. All right, Joe. Thank you so much for being on the show, man. You brought fire for like a solid 20 minutes or something. Why don't you go ahead and give us your social media and, tell us when Notre Dame's going to win a championship again.
That's never going to happen. But listen, I am the man of the people. I'm here for the people. Let me show you our Facebook page. Everyone, go.
No, David, no.
Wow. Wow.
We're not treating Joe like that.
Keep ruining your own show.
I will make more jokes, David.
Search Long Beach Joe. Like that page. Our content's up there. Message us. We'll message you right back. Go ahead and leave us some feedback as well. I'm on Let's Talk Jets. We are live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Our number is 929-477-2651. I'm also on Twitter as well at YoungJ000. That's 3 zeros. Go ahead and follow me. I'll follow you right back. Want to troll me? No issue. I'll troll you right back, too. I love going back and forth with people on there. So give me a follow. I'm also on YouTube as well at YoungJ00. That's 2 zeros on YouTube, 3 on Twitter. I do weekly videos about the Jets and all the personnel stuff, rosters, talk about the rest of the NFL as well. So go ahead and, subscribe to my content there, comment. We can go back and forth on there as well, man. As always, hey, when you guys see me in person, arms out, chest open, free hug, man.
Obviously. All right, Joe, thanks for being on. And it's really impressive that you remembered your number for the show. I honestly don't know the number. No. Need the money! God, I love that soundbite. All right. Maybe that's my new favorite one. All right, Joe, thanks for being on, then.
All right. You guys have a good one. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I totally forgot that Joe had a YouTube channel. David, you need to get on there.
I've seen Joe's YouTube videos, and honestly, I see a lot of the fire he brings on there, too. It's pretty much just him on Let's Talk Jets, only instead I just actually see him instead of just hear him.
And no Tyson to be like, Joe, you're wrong, you're being irrational. Yeah, like one of those.
And then Tyson continues playing the sound bites over and over and over.
Yep. All right, so we're going to go on to our final caller of the night. And before that, we got to make this official and lock the conference. There it is. So, Alex, you're our final caller of the night. Alex, thank you so much for being patient and waiting. What's going on, my man? The head staff writer at Draft Him. Shameless shout out. He's doing a really good job. Go follow Draft Him. At official Draft Him.
You know it. If you haven't heard, get on Draft Him. We got some awesome stuff going on for this upcoming draft. So if you haven't been there, you got to check it out. Thanks for having me on, fellas.
If you haven't been on Draft Him, we're not friends, honestly. No hugs for you. But, we got a lot to talk about, Alex. I know we focused on the draft, but there's been a lot going on in the Jets kingdom. So let's talk about Josh McCown or Josh McClown or whatever we want to do this. I laughed so hard at that, and I don't know why. Give us your take on the signing.
It was, I guess, a cheaper move, probably a safer move than putting out too much cash and spending whatever we have left in cap space. He's going to be the guinea pig for Morton's new offense. Obviously he's been around to a lot of different teams, so he's pretty intelligent when it comes to, having to learn a new playbook and understand new offensive schemes. So I think with the intelligence factor, hopefully he'll be able to help the competition process. And if he does get the starting gig to start, we all know that he's probably not going to be the quarterback for the entire season. We will see Petty in there if he is healthy. And, of course, I think at some point in time we got to see what Hackenberg has in at least the second part of the season.
I mean, yeah, I guess I think you were on the line for Justin's call, were you?
I caught the tail end of it. The flames were burning pretty high then.
Yeah, tempers were definitely flaring. We were cooking in the kitchen, and no, I'm not going to make a joke off of that, David. The whole argument was, I think McCown would win the starting job in a competition with Petty. Do you think that would happen?
On an intelligence factor and having more experience, I would definitely think that he would be the favorite in that bout. And it would all come down to what Petty can do. First off, we really don't know what his medical is. Fortunately for him, it's not his throwing arm that he had surgery on, but we still don't know if he's physically going to be able to perform and even be a backup. Hackenberg might have to be pushed to the backup role if McCown ends up being the number one for September. But in a competition, I'd probably be more favored to McCown beating him out. And I think as Petty would to learn the offense and, get acclimated with that, I think that he could end up taking over, maybe in October even.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility. Now, we've discussed a little bit about the quarterback class. Obviously, you do a good job with talking about the draft. So, thoughts on possibly Trubisky at 6?
Trubisky at 6 and increasing it to a 4 quarterback competition, I wouldn't be opposed to doing that if they feel that that's their number one guy, or if that's one of the higher players they have on their board, because every team has their own board on how they rate their own players. And, if, let's just say safeties and cornerbacks like Lattimore, Hooker, Jamal Adams were all in the top list and they're gone, because that could happen theoretically, and you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, we can't trade back. Let's get one of these young prospects in here. We're still going to go forward with, the competition and maybe pushing McCown first and developing the young guys. And that could probably lead to a cut. And, if I were to predict a cut, I'd probably think that Petty would be the odd man out.
Yeah, I agree. David, your thoughts?
Yeah, man, no doubt. I agree with you 100% there. I actually want to kind of move on to another position. You probably have heard all the takes on the line tonight. Marcus Claiborne, new signing.
Morris
Claiborne. Wow, I really am a waffler tonight. But what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, bull crap. I call bull crap right there, David. You've been yelling at me all night for saying that, and as soon as you say that, it's okay.
Yeah, so I just need a little break. But what are your thoughts?
Mo Claiborne, with the way the quarterback situation was looking in free agency, we couldn't hit in the first tier because of the cap situation. So I think we got an average player at best. The concerns with me is that this guy has a hard time staying on the field. So I am glad that we didn't invest a lot of money or a long-term contract into him. Other people are saying that maybe they would want that. I think this is a show-me contract, and if he could stay healthy for a year and he does show well in Bolts or Casey Rogers' defense, then, you can always, see what you can do next year when we get a little bit more cap space. So at this point, rather than having to expose maybe some of our younger defensive backs and Darryl Roberts and Justin Burris and putting Buster Screen away from where he belongs in the nickel out to a number 1 or a number 2 position where he could get exposed and burned all year, we're going to get Claiborne in here. He's preferably going to be the number 1 more than likely, unless if they, decide to go with like a Marshawn Lattimore in the draft and then, they consider him the number 1 and Claiborne's the number 2 or vice versa. So I think it's a good move to get a veteran in here, and I'm just kind of glad that we're not tied down to him.
Can you imagine, the injury report, week 5, of the number 1 and number 2 duo of Marshawn Lattimore and Morris Claiborne? Oh, my.
It could be pretty decent. Oh, you mean the injury report in October? It could be scary, because you got one guy with hamstring injuries and you got another guy with a laundry list full of them. And, with the other free agent signings that we made too, all of these players, Beachum went through his full season last year, but before that I think he had an ACL injury that he was coming back from. And McCown has had a list of injuries throughout his long career. So, these are good economical moves, but I do think that there's a little bit of a risk factor going into the season to where if some of these key guys that we signed this year were to get hurt, we'd be looking a lot like the team that we had back in December and early January of 2016.
Yeah, absolutely. David, your thoughts?
No, man, no doubt. And that is kind of my main concern with drafting Marshawn Lattimore, man. That injury concern really, that injury history really concerns me as well. And, having a corner duo with laundry lists filled with injury reports and injury history, that could concern me. That's why I did kind of agree with Kyle, cornerback in the second round, and potentially putting him with Claiborne. I think that would be a great corner duo. I think that would be a huge upgrade to our corner core, especially with the young guys emerging like Darryl Roberts and Justin Burris, and even Buster Screen. Maybe if he continues to play in the slot like where he is best at, then I can't say our corner core will be one of the best in the league, but it could be an improvement from last year. But, our secondary is not done yet because we still got the safety core as Calvin Pryor is going to his final year, and unfortunately, somehow Marcus Gilchrist is still on the team. What are your thoughts?
On Marcus Gilchrist?
Yeah, still on the team, and we're waiting for them to cut him.
I'm not 100% sure, but I thought I read somewhere that the Jets really can't make a decision on him until he passes his medical tests from from his injury. So maybe that's why we haven't seen any action or, any cutting or anything of that nature with him. Pending his medical situation, if he were to come back and he could bounce back, he's a veteran, he knows the system. We obviously know that he's not going to, correct or fix any of the mistakes that we had last year covering the deep ball, but you would have somebody that, knows the playbook. But until he gets healthy, until we know what's physically going on, and, that goes with Decker, too. We have no idea what his health situation is. So it's hard to make decisions and factor them into the 2017 season until we know how much they can contribute.
Yeah, man, and no doubt. And, I think that Marcus Gilchrist does have a Victor Cruz-like injury, and I think that could probably take a long time for him to recover, which is why people are wanting him gone. And I think cutting Marcus Gilchrist could actually give us some cap back. And bringing in a young guy like Malik Hooker could actually provide more depth, and it could actually provide a younger safety core duo than really having Marcus Gilchrist in here. But you were actually bringing up wide receivers about Eric Decker and Quincy Nunwa. Now, whoever is starting this year, whether it's Josh McCown or Bryce Petty, how do you think our wide receivers could fit into the mix?
Well, the way that I see it is you have a lot of inexperienced players, and Quincy Enunwa is even one of them. I think he did get a lot more snaps, right, the most snaps of his career last year, but, having to go into Eric Decker's role, I don't think he was as comfortable, and he wasn't getting as many opportunities as a number 2. I think he was going to flourish as our number 3, and when Decker got hurt, his whole season changed. That's kind of what I saw from what he was doing in the first 2 games of the year, and then we saw a bit of a drought once Decker came out of the offense. So it'll be interesting to see, how they're going to be effective in the passing game and get him open, because if you look at the team as a whole, even with Eric Decker in there, you're going to put probably your best guy on Quincy Enunwa, and then you probably put your second best guy on Decker, and then shade a safety over the top just to cut out, his slants and his hitch routes and things of that nature. So it's a real question mark to me. And, going into this draft, if there's some certain players that they have on their big board that are not available, I wouldn't even be surprised if they went and they took a player like Mike Williams, knowing that, we still have a young raw wide receiver core, and we don't know Eric Decker's, injury and medical situation right now. So if you bring someone like him, that's a big playmaker that you could put with Quincy, with Robbie Anderson, Sharon Peake. We all know the gang. And, as another move, I'm here in Buffalo would be targeting somebody like that, and I definitely would not want to see Sammy Watkins and Mike Williams going up against our young guys, twice a year. So,
good one too.
Exactly. So, even if you were to take a player from them, I would be all for a play like that, because like you guys said, there's plenty of first-round caliber cornerbacks that are going to slide out of the first round and be available for our early pick in the second round, and we can arguably get a first-round caliber cornerback with that 39th pick.
Yeah, man, no doubt. Kyle, what are your thoughts?
I mean, just anything to improve the team, basically.
You got to roll.
I don't know how you can go wrong with that 6th pick, to be quite honest with you. I know everyone's getting all ramped up when they see mock drafts and they see certain players because, they feel that we need to go in a certain direction, or, at the end of the day, we're going to get a very, very talented prospect, whether it be, a quarterback or running back or wide receiver or a safety. We're going to have the opportunity to get one of the top players in any of the positional groups in this draft with our first one. So at this point, you do what's best for this team. You get somebody that's going to be a cog in the wheel, that's going to be here for the next, hopefully 5 to 10 years. And, I feel that this isn't the rebuild year. I feel like we've been doing this since these guys came in, because it was a dumpster fire before Bowles and McGannon came here, and they just happened to hit on all their free agency moves and turn a 4-12 team into a 10-6 team, which no one actually expected. So I think that first year we were all enamored with it and shell-shocked by the 2016 season because of, poor quarterback play. And obviously there was issues with the secondary and issues with us getting after the quarterback. So I think they've been, retooling in free agency, and I think that we have been building and getting some good players in here. I think now is the time that we have to start getting these draftees from the 2015 and 16 year on the field and get them developed as quickly as we can so that, by 2018 we can actually start having or seeing a winning product.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're onto something there with, the whole rebuild situation. And the one thing I'll say about 6, I want to get a safe player. I don't want to get a D. Milner. I don't want to get a Marshawn Lattimore. I don't want a guy like that. I want to get a safe player who I know will be a cornerstone piece of my franchise for the next, like you said, 5 to 10 years. They'll probably bail after 5 years because, the Jets. So what would be some of the safest picks? I know me and you, we do a lot of draft stuff. So if you're the Jets at number 6, and obviously don't go and say Myles Garrett because he's probably not going to be there, but somebody who's going to realistically be available at 6, who do you think are the safest players for the Jets?
My safest guy would definitely be Jamal Adams. I think he's extremely versatile. I've heard that he's good enough to play nickel corner. He can play free safety. He can play strong safety in the box. I think he's the absolute safest guy that you could take at the 6th pick. And, obviously the 5 teams in front of us, they know that too. So we'd be very lucky if he would be there for us at 6. And if I had to go with some other guys, I really like Reuben Foster, even though his situation that happened at the Combine may have hindered him. I still think at the end of the day, arguably have the best linebacker in this draft, and he'll be a generational style linebacker. So if he was there and you took him, I'd have no problem with that. Or even a player, and everybody gasps when you hear Leonard Fournette. He's a generational running back, and everyone's like, no, we got to get safety, we got to get corner. You could still get those players, especially if we were to do something like trading Sheldon Richardson to get an extra pick. You get more leverage. You could still build between that 2nd and possibly 2 to 3 third-round picks and fill your needs with elite skill players, because as far as the corners and the safeties are going, there's going to be starters that are available either at the safety position or nickelback corners that you're going to be able to find late in that 3rd pick, right around the 70th pick. And there'll still be some talented guys that maybe may not start right away, but by the second half of the season, these guys will be getting, stealing snaps from guys.
Yep. All right, Alex, thank you so much for coming on the show. We got to start wrapping up. All right, I wasn't the only one that heard that, right? That scared me a little.
Thought I lost you there.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. It scared me. It sounded like a chip eating. I don't know. Maybe somebody dropped something. But, Alex, thank you so much for coming on the show. Why don't you go ahead and shout out all your social medias?
Thanks, guys, for having me on. Once again, you can follow me at Rufio_187. And like we said before, go check out our Draftum blog that we have going on here if you guys want to get some sleepers or more insight of what is brewing in this upcoming draft. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks for being on, Alex. David, are you, eating chips or something right now?
No, I was just, I forgot to mute myself as I was typing that, but, I love what Alex has to bring, especially about the draft, and especially about the Jamal Adams take.
Wow. We definitely have to cut that out in post-production.
Okay. But anyhow, trivia question time.
Yeah. Do this.
Okay.
I beat Ben last week, so we're
trivia question for tonight.
All right, wait, hold on. Let me turn on my camera so you can see me. Make sure I'm not typing or anything. All right.
I would hear you if you're typing, but anyway.
This is true. So I'll shut off my camera.
Draft question for tonight.
Ooh.
Since we are talking draft, Our last 3 first-round picks. What schools have they came out of?
Ohio State, USC, and oh my gosh, who did we take before Leonard Williams? Oh my, it's not Calvin Pryor, is it?
Yes, it was.
Oh, so Louisville, Ohio State, and USC.
Well, actually, speaking of Louisville, I'm going to start watching college football finally, and I'm not trying to be a front runner or anything, but I want to start rooting for the Louisville Cardinals because
Lamar Jackson bandwagoner.
Hey, listen, it's not about bandwagoning. It's just that I like the school, I like the sports programs that they would have there, and I even thought about going there at one point, but I like what Louisville would have to offer, and honestly, I think it would be a great team to root for in college.
I have seen Lamar Jackson play in real life because he used to play at Boynton Beach. Yeah, maybe. Was it Delray? Well, anyway, they were the Tigers, right? And they play Vero in my high school almost every year. So when I was like 8 or 9 years old, something around there, don't know my exact age, I remember they came down to Vero and they got a straight whooping from us. But he was definitely good even back then, so I don't have a problem with you rooting for them. All right, David, we had a lot of really good callers tonight. Maybe some ones that we. All right, now you're doing it to yourself. You're accepting it. This is stage 1 of the acceptance. This is good, David.
I waffle occasionally, but come on. I mean,
I will say.
I get put under pressure.
I will say, when you did the thing with your mouth, and I said that's the noise of David closing his that may be the funniest thing I've ever said in my life. I'm not going to lie.
Well, what? Whatever, Kyle.
All right, whatever. All right, David, so we had a good show.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts? All right, I definitely locked the meeting house. There's somebody joining.
Yeah, someone just joined.
Oh, no, Hakeem. No.
So, should we
David,
move on?
David, wait, are you on spring break?
No, I don't have spring break till April, but you.
What?
Either way, I'm going. Yeah, till mid-April, and either way, I'm going away for spring break. So.
Man, I'm on spring break right now. That sucks for you. Did you unlock the meeting or something? I definitely locked. The meeting is locked. How did he?
No, it wasn't locked. I didn't hear.
Yes, it is. Look at David. Look at the. It says it's locked. All right, whatever. He left anyway. Sorry, Hakeem. Wanted you on the show, but I guess we're just at time. All right, David. Why don't you go ahead and give us your social medias and your YouTube, because you do a great job outside of filling in for Ben every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
Almost every week, actually.
Now,
boom.
Yeah, well,
boom, shots fired.
Yeah, well, Ben's not gonna like this when he gets out of it, but you could follow me on
Twitter. You
Twitter.
really think I care?
Well, we'll discuss this later, but
yeah.
You can follow me on Twitter at GangrenDavid1. You can follow me on Instagram at Gangren_David, and you can follow me on my YouTube channel at GangrenDavid, as I have a lot of now new projects to be posted, especially since I was recently at Monday Night Raw at the Barclays Center this past Monday.
Ooh.
And I've made a
SmackDown.
Yes, and I've made a whole blog out of that, and it will be posted probably by either tomorrow or Friday. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And you could follow my music channel, as I'm trying to become a DJ, at David Max, as I am going to be posting my match mixes, and I will be posting my 6th match mix very shortly, as things just been coming at me for the last month. And I haven't really been able to find time to DJ as of late, but...
speaking of DJ, David, you're setting me up for this right now, because I saw it. Jay Khaled. All right, had to throw that in there.
Okay, but you get my point. But check it out, and it was great co-hosting, and let's pray to God Ben will be back next week.
Oh. Well, wait. How do you mean that? Like, you don't want to do this anymore?
No, well... This is yours and Ben. Well, we'll explain this later. We'll talk about this not on the air.
You never know. But, all right, so, David, thank you for filling in for Ben. Once again, you always do a great job. You're just as good as a producer, though, I'll say that. So thank you guys for listening so much. A lot of jokes tonight. I thought this was a good episode. Got a lot of great callers, couple bad ones, or actually one bad one. Of course, you can go follow them on their social medias. We tweeted that out. Joe did a really good job. Ryan, Alex, Justin. Am I forgetting anybody? Kyle from AFC Bros. They all did a really good job. Am I forgetting anybody, David?
No.
No. Hakeem for about 2 seconds. Didn't really get to hear his opinions. I don't know. I guess he was silent tonight. But just thank you guys for all the ongoing support. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, we're approaching the 1-year mark of the Jet Take. And whether, you guys think this means a lot to us or not, I can definitely say for Ben here and talk from the heart that it means so much for you guys to constantly give us support, not only with the listens statistically behind the scenes, but the support on, our Twitter, on our Instagram, our Facebook, just all the love that you guys give us on a daily and weekly basis, and everybody who calls in, and we really appreciate that. And trust me, we don't forget about you guys, everybody who called in to start. You guys definitely have a special place in our hearts. And David, I know you've only been a part of the Jet Take officially for about 3 months now, but you do a really good job of us, and I'm pretty sure it means a lot to you too. So thank you guys just so much. And for
appreciate it.
Yeah, and for the new people who weren't here to start, that's okay. You can still go follow us at The Jet Take on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can subscribe to us, The Jet Take, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, iHeartRadio, or any other podcatcher you can think of. And I think that does it, David. And we're going to leave you guys with the best chant in the NFL. Until next week, let's go Jets.